And we're live.
Did you plan that music?
It was me playing. It was
That was
me.
you playing that. You playing that live?
Playing it live. It was like going back in time to year 7 in the music rooms with the keyboards. DJ, do,
Hitting that over and over again, sampling.
Yeah, and the teachers having the patience to just accept that it was never going to end if they brought it up, if they just let us continue.
45 minutes left of this.
If you are listening live on the podcast, the audio experience, then you have missed that. But there was a little 30-second intro. I don't think anyone else saw us dancing, did they? So it was just the two of us behind the scenes. But I'm here tonight with Ben. He's gone full name for his display name there. So you've got his first and a second name if you need it. And we're going to be having a little catch up about all things running. I'm going to be taking any of the ad revenue we get off the back of this live stream. Ben is still waiting to be monetized. The gods at YouTube have yet to grace him with that. Otherwise, it would be on his channel.
I'm not working hard enough. That's why I'm not
working hard enough.
Great content.
So if you have not yet, please go and subscribe to Ben's channel, watch his videos, get his watch hours up, even more so. And if the ads do appear in the future, please do watch them all. Yes, exactly. Craig has arrived.
Evening.
Good evening. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. I watched the video the other day, that crazy one.
That crazy one.
Yeah, the desert one. Absolutely mad. Came up and recommended. I've watched it 2 or 3 times already, but I thought, no, I'll watch it again. It is one hell of a video. So I thought what we'd chat about tonight is all things running in your world over probably the last year, I would say, and just have a little catch up about how things are going, how things have gone. So there's a little banner, training. So this was a bit mad. Over the last, would you say, 9 months, you've had consistent mileage weekly at what, between 80 and 110 kilometers?
There or thereabouts, I would say, yeah. Probably since November, I think. Probably I've kept that up. So I got ahead of the game.
Did you find that when you got into the routine of it, because I'm only just getting back into it now, when you got back into the routine of it, you just felt like every week it was just doable? You could fit in the running, it felt comfortable, and you just continued?
Yeah, by and large, it did feel like I fitted into a routine of doing set runs, set days, so it always ended up being the same. It had the odd occasion where I'd miss one, and then it'd get to the weekend and think, all right, instead of doing 25k today, I'm going to have to do 20 miles or something. But that was on the odd occasion. But I've also sprinkled in, some like really heavy runs in there as well on a weekend, haven't I? So I'd like 50k, the odd marathon distance, and then you can chill out a little bit more in the week. But it's almost sort of like working a week in advance, and I would say when you get to sort of Wednesday, you need to be like, right, this is what I'm going to be targeting on the following Monday, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a bit sort of all over the place in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but yeah, by and large, it's been pretty similar throughout the training block so far.
I think what's important to note for anybody who didn't know, I suppose, is even over the winter period, those dark, horrible nights, days, and all of that stuff, you were getting up at 3:30, 4 in the morning, in the dark, running in the dark from start to finish, in the mud, in the slush, and doing 50k, all in training for what is essentially a summer ultra.
yeah, bananas, absolutely mental. But yeah, I enjoy those times though. I really do like it. I mean, it seemed like it was an extremely long winter, mainly because I was just every time I ran, it was in the dark. There wasn't any time where I went out sort of like after 10. It was either like between the hours of sort of 6:30 and 9 at night, or as you say, like 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. and it's still dark throughout the winter months. So winter seemed to go on forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to acclimatise now has been pretty tough in the last sort of like month. Now things are warming up. It's been difficult.
Yeah, it's different kind of running as well, isn't it? Because But just looking at your mileage and knowing what I'm doing now, I think it's been quite good for me to see what it takes, because you've done North Downs Way this year. I think about my training that was essentially half of your mileage per week, half the elevation per week, probably. And I saw what time I did 2 years in a row. And I see what time you do or did. And it kind of makes you realize that's what you need to put in to get a, would you say, a comfortable result, a comfortable finish? We'll talk more about it. But,
Well,
you know,
yeah, I mean,
comfortable in a sense that you did it. It wasn't like you were broken and you were
no,
dragging yourself across the
it's
line.
still definitely an effort, mate, for sure. It wasn't a walk in the park, but being able to like literally keep the train going afterwards has been good. So I think the training itself, like the build up to it, has meant that I can, more so the recovery from the other side of it. So I can go out and do that sort of hard effort and then still sort of run off the back of it.
Yeah.
That said, obviously it's a little bit of a different situation into where I am today, because of what's happened since. But
Yeah.
like I think the recovery has been increased, like decreased recovery time because of the amount of training that I put in. So I think that is more noticeable.
So your body's more used to the elevated mileage every week, but then also you've got a pretty consistent recovery program. I say that you have in place, don't you? You're pretty happy with how you
Yeah,
recover now.
yeah. Like I just do the same set things every day, straight in after a run, recovery shake, la di da di da. I probably have about, I don't know, 4 or 5 baths, hot baths a week, half an hour soak in the tub, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stretching, rolling every day, foam rolling every day. I find that fits quite well into the family routine when the boys are in the bath. That's a top tip. When the kids are in the bath and you've got to sit there, just keep an eye on them, get on the foam roller. Perfect time to do it. You know, the same height as the bath. You can get involved with the play. You can roll your legs, and everyone's a winner. So yeah, that's a top tip for parents out there.
It's just been like fascinating for me to see, because often, for me anyway, you look on Strava, most of the people that are running high mileage, or I would consider to be high mileage, I don't really know of. I can't really compute in my head how they're fitting in. But as I know you, it's just intriguing to see what actually can be done with a full-time job. You are not a full-time athlete, and yet it's squeezing it all in and running a family. All of those things. You have to put the work in, don't you? Essentially, you have to
Yeah,
want it.
yeah, for sure. I would probably say though, like I would say I'm probably doing a lot of junk miles though. That said, like I don't want to give myself too much credit. I just want to
Right.
be like, a lot of it is a wasted time. Like if I'm doing sort of 3 or 4 half marathon length runs a week, it's not an efficient way to train, is it? It's more quality over quantity, and I'm definitely doing quantity over quality.
Right.
But it has worked to a certain extent. But we'll see how it goes for the 100. Maybe I'm just doing too much, and it's just gonna, I'll just end up knacking myself out.
So what would you be missing? A speed workout, or what would actually matter to you? What would change things and make a difference that you would care about?
I think if you probably spoke to a coach, they'd probably say I should probably like half or do about 3/4 of the mileage I'm doing, and then focus more on attacking the hard session. Like I just do one speed session or a hill session a week, focused, and that is a shorter session, saying like 10K in distance. But I then follow that up with like a half marathon, and then that sort of wrecks me for the rest of the week, and I feel terrible. So the runs after that are really poor quality, I would
Right.
say,
I
in terms
see.
of training benefit. So I would probably be better just doing, like a short one, speed session, day off, another shorter run, and then a longer run, rather than doing long run, speed, shorter run, day off, and then you see what I mean. I could probably manage my time a little bit better. I reckon if I
Right.
dropped a little bit of the mileage and focused on quality of the actual sessions, I'd probably see more benefits. But you know, I think that's what a coach should say, but I'm just winging it as I go along.
And it's working for you. You're
Yeah.
winging it, and it's working. And you haven't actually had a running related injury. to be
No,
fair to you, you haven't actually had a leg injury, let's say, or anything that's specifically running focused.
well, since the London to Brighton, obviously my knees flared up a little bit, but I don't know. I think that's just overuse. I don't like. I could run on it. I could run on it. It would be painful for sure. So that's why I'm not doing it. But I haven't had any injuries that have put me out where I think like, oh God, I really can't run. I think I'm just now. I just don't need to run. So why bother? Like why bother flare it up even more?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been got away with it since I had that stress fracture, whenever that was, 2 years ago. I've been pretty, I've had the odd sort of tight hammy here and there, but
Yeah.
nothing major to speak of. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky on that front.
It's impressive, isn't it? Because you also run your shoes into the ground. You're
Yeah,
not fresh pair of shoes out the box every 2 months, are you? Or every whatever
no,
Strava says, every 400k it says to you buy some more shoes.
yeah, I probably put about sort of 800, 900 kilometers into a pair of speedcoats, I reckon, before I retire them. So you got to get your money's worth, haven't you? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you just keep pounding the trails, but the trails over the pavement is probably benefiting you a huge
For
amount
sure.
as well.
Yeah, yeah, that I strongly feel is keeping me injury free. Like
Mm.
again, back to my knee from this weekend, because the majority of that course for that race was paved. I think that really didn't play to my strengths at all.
Yeah,
And so just the repetitive
it's
pounding
not
of the
forgiving.
pavement. It's definitely not. And I
Yeah,
picked the wrong footwear. I had speedcoats on because that's all I ever wear. So maybe if I had like a road shoe, I don't know, it might have been a different story. But yeah, I think definitely trail running does help you stay injury free for sure, because I think it also strengthens your legs in ways that road running doesn't, like your
mm.
ankles and all your sort of metatarsals and your toes and all those little things that just sort of add up, um yeah, to help keep you stronger
Mm.
for longer.
Yeah. That could be a strap line for all sorts of
I know.
things.
So just change
Um,
my name at the bottom of the stream, stronger for
yeah,
longer.
stronger for longer. Yeah, I've certainly for me, I've noticed that in recent months I've been trying to get the mileage up, and that's involved a bit of road running, and it's not. It's just it's hard work, and also it's monotonous. I find myself not feeling as sharp, and then I go and do a trail run, and I've got to really focus where I haven't been focusing, say, through the week. I've just been running, run there, run
Yeah,
back, easy. Get on the trails, it's a bit more like, whoa, I've got to wake up a bit, especially if you do it in the morning. Looking around you, they're going to trip over. And I definitely feel that even though don't feel as fit on the trails, it's just definitely more fun, more enjoyable. Um, but to have to trek sort of 5k on the
yeah,
pavement to get there is a bit of
hmm,
like you've got to commit to the almost the wrong shoe for your journey there, your journey
yeah,
back,
yeah,
just to
for
enjoy the
sure.
middle part, which is a pain. Oh, question here, Ben.
Hmm.
How old are you?
I am 33 years of age. So
33.
yeah, yeah, relatively young, I think.
Yeah,
A
another
young
three, well, another
whippersnapper.
2 lifetimes, I reckon.
I mean, not as young as some of the other people that we run with on a Tuesday night, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm
Imagine
not
if we'd
quite middle aged
started
yet.
doing this when we were 19. Imagine,
Yeah,
how much better we would be, or not. Um, but yeah, no, I do think I don't know. A lot of these people that I look at online, and I think there's a point certainly for ultra runners where you've got that mid to late 30s, early 40s people consistently completing ultras at quite a pace, and
yeah.
they've built up over the years. You don't have too many, I don't think. What, under 25 ultra runners on the
No,
scene high
I,
up there? I
I,
don't think so.
I think it's becoming more and more popular. Um, a lot of the youngsters are coming through, like Jack. What's his name? The guy
Whitehall,
who came. That's the comedian, isn't it?
Jack D,
No.
Jack
Um,
Ryan, Jack Reacher,
the guy who
back in
came
box.
second at the Spine. I mean, he's in his 20s, and yeah, he's doing some amazing things. I can't remember his surname now, but yeah. So I think there is a younger sort of cohort coming through. Obviously, Callum being,
Mm,
just a true
yeah,
inspiration at such a young age.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Callum,
so I think give it
yeah,
another 3 or 4 years. I think you'll see a huge cohort of sort of like mid to late 20-year-olds coming into it and just absolutely caning it.
Mm. And I think a lot of the people who are doing really well in the ultra scene seem to just be smashing out the fast marathons and then just translating it over
Yeah,
and give it 12 to 18 months of trail running after doing quick marathons, and suddenly they're like podium.
yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
mad.
Because I think
Whereas,
that's why I started trail running and ultra running, because I wasn't any good at any shorter, faster stuff. So I just thought I could just see how long I can go at a really slow pace. Whereas they've
yeah,
got the ability to really put the hammer down and
mm,
build up the distance, and it works for them really well. I
I'm
I
still
can't
trying to,
unfortunately
yeah,
go back the other way.
no, I can't. I haven't tried to, well, haven't done it yet, but I haven't tried to break the sub 4 at the marathon. And yet you watch these ultra runners and you're following the tracker and they go through 30 miles and it's like 3:32, 30 miles. You're like, wow, I couldn't do a marathon then. And they're just, yeah, cruising it. It's quite inspiring. That North Downs Way 50, to watch people come through. Of course, it's the first year I've sort of spectated properly. You just get a sense of the pace of the people who then go on to get top 10, top 20, top 30.
Yeah.
It's another level.
Hmm.
And I know that when I said to you, obviously, when Callum came through, he was first. I couldn't keep up with him. I'm not that quick, but I was really trying, and it was downhill, and he was gone. And I thought afterwards, he's not just going to now walk the rest. That pace remained the same. And then the guy who was second behind Callum, who then later won the race, him as well. They cruise past at such a pace. And you look afterwards, you look on the tracker, you're thinking, I couldn't hold that for 2K, 3K,
Mm.
4K, and they're holding it for some of them 30, 40 miles.
Yeah.
But
It's impressive. It
anyway,
really is.
one day
It really is.
perhaps.
Yeah.
So North Downs Way 50, you have trained loads and loads on the North Downs Way locally to us.
Yep.
You did loads of training runs covering at least the first 30 miles ish
Hmm.
up to Reigate, quite consistently.
Yep.
So for the North Downs Way 50, did you feel going into it you were mentally in the zone? You knew what was coming
Oh,
up. Just
yeah,
getting
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a case of turning up and running it, really. Just having a enjoyable day and trying not to overthink it too much. That was the key, because I knew the course like the back of my hand. I didn't have to worry about navigation or anything like that. It was just making sure executed. The main thing to worry about for me was nutrition, because I've been struggling with a bit of a bad stomach leading up to it, and that was my main concern was, how many toilet stops am I going to have?
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that was the thing I was thinking of. But on the race day, none of that sort of came to fruition. Like, I didn't even need to go to the toilet pre-race. It just all seemed to fall into place, which is, I couldn't really ask for a better day, really, to be fair. Yeah, it all seemed to work itself
Yeah.
out.
It's probably one of the warmest days you've had so far this year at that point. Anyway, I know now it's
Hmm.
slightly hotter. So again, it's trying to manage that. How did you keep on top of all of that? Because going into it, you weren't too sure, or we weren't too sure
Yeah,
really whether it was going to be a dry day, cloudy day. How hot will it get? It started off in the morning. It was wasn't that warm. It was a bit
yeah.
chilly.
It was quite cold till about sort of 8, 9 o'clock.
Mm,
But I obviously I had no reason to train really with taking salt sticks and all this kind of like hydration stuff. Like, obviously I'd drink fluid or whatever, but I wouldn't maybe drink the amount that I had to take on that day. It was more of just, do I feel like I need this? Let's have it, and like suck it and see,
yeah,
basically. So it was like, yeah, if I felt like I needed it, I took it. I didn't think, oh, I'll just keep going for a little while, it might pass. It was like, right, just act now and
yeah.
then deal with it later, kind of thing. But luckily, it all seemed to work. Didn't have any issues or side effects from anything. So
Mm.
yeah, really, really good.
It was a good day. For people who don't know that course that well, that last 20 miles anyway is just it's a bit grueling if you've had a tough first 30. It's not like you can go, well, the first bit's the tough bit and then just coast your way home. You've got a few
Yeah,
little reminders that you're still on quite a tough ultra. with a few of those hills, and even the grassy field bits towards the end. A few of those little
Yeah.
quick uphill ones are not very nice either.
Yeah, there's that odd sort of short, sharp thing that come out of the middle of nowhere between Botley Hill and Knockholt.
Mm,
And even when you think, oh, I'm just going through fields here, you still have to have your wits about you a little bit, because most of it is churned up. And with it being like, it might have been all right, but it'd be better on a softer day, because you can still travel at pace without having to worry about rolling your ankle so much.
yeah,
Because it had been it was all baked hard. It was all sort of like, and very uneven underfoot. So you might think the last sort of flat bits through the fields are quite easy running, but you still have to be aware of what's going on underneath your feet.
I found that last bit a drag. I remember making the phone call to say 5k away, won't be long. Thinking in my head it was like the same sort of 5k. You just go, oh, probably 35 minutes, 40 minutes.
Yeah,
It's like, what? Then suddenly it's 50 minutes. You're like, well, this 5k is just never ending, especially, well, for me, I was kind of walking, jogging, but it's not something you can just go, right, 5k, let's get this done. Quick
yeah,
park run to go.
yeah,
It's a bit of a challenging course,
yeah. Well,
in
I
my
think
opinion.
mentally as well, you don't realise how much you've slowed down. Like you
Mm,
just go, oh, I'm running this, so I must be running at the
yeah,
same
yeah,
pace I started at. But really, you're not. You're definitely not. Unless you're like literally checking the watch every 30 seconds, you're not. You're really not. And it is a lot stop start with the gates. There's so many gates in
yeah,
that last bit. It's like you'd enter a field, run to the other side of the field. There's a gate. Then there's a road crossing, so you'd literally take 3 steps across the road. And there's another gate into the next field, and
yeah,
it's rinse and repeat for that last 5k. So you really is stop start.
yeah. I wouldn't want to be up against somebody challenging for first, and you're both
No,
like,
holding the gates for each other. It'd
yeah,
be, oh,
or
quick,
shutting the
shut it,
gate,
go away. Yeah,
shutting the gates behind you. Yeah, yeah, quite a course to take on, for sure. And it makes you realise when you listen to the podcast they did recently about people missing the cutoff, it's definitely possible to do. If you have a bit of
hmm,
a bit of a slower start to the day, thinking you'll pace yourself, and then you slow down even more, that can definitely
yeah, catch you out for sure.
catch you out. So you've obviously got this big boy coming up, the 100.
Right.
So you're going to get to Knockholt at 50.
Yep.
Mentally, you've been there before, and you've got in the car,
Yep.
and you've got to just get some watermelon and power on
Do it
through.
all again. Yeah. I think. I think. I'm confident I can do it. You know. I'm pretty sure I can do it.
You
Um.
definitely do it.
The the test from this weekend, like the experience I got from doing London to Brighton, off the back of that, really did sort of hammer home the fact that I will hurt, but only to a certain point, and I can
Mm,
just keep going through it. So I think up here, I think I've definitely got it dialed down now.
yeah,
Whether I can make any gains in terms of how my legs perform, that will be to be seen. Like for the next couple of weeks in terms of training, what I can do between
yeah.
now and then. But I think mentally and wise, I'm sort of, yeah, I'm switched on. Like I'll just push myself through regardless of what happens. Unless I'm in the back of an ambulance, mate, I'll be getting to that finish line.
And so obviously the pace you did at North Downsway 50, you'll be
Mm.
toning that down by 20%, 10%, 20%. Are you just gonna, because
Yeah,
surely there's a balance there, because you don't want to get into like this slow pace
yeah.
and then not, because sometimes your autopilot is actually preferable.
And again, if you go, you take it too easy, you will get caught out. Like you say, those people that take it easy at the North Downs Way 50, it's just the same thing, but
Mm,
over a longer distance. But so I think from the 50, it was good to see what's possible. I don't think I could run that pace again because, first of all, I've got really no need to.
mm,
Um, and second of all, because it will be challenging for that second half. I know like 80%, I think, of the elevation is crammed into that first 50. So the hills aren't as severe, but obviously you're gonna have to fatigue. So regardless of
mm.
whatever hills it is, probably gonna every hill will feel like Box Hill after sort of 70 miles. So yeah, it's I think I'm probably gonna rate it. So I would think I averaged six. Don't quote me on this. Like 6:30, I think it was per
Okay.
kilometer around there. So if I can say sort of like 7 minutes per kilometre for the first 50 miles. If I can get sort of around, I don't know, say 10 hours, 9.5, 10 hours, that would be perfect. I think it would be a decent enough pace to get me a good 100-mile result with
Yep.
hopefully not wrecking my legs too much that I can't run
Ever
enough
again.
to keep exactly to keep that sort of going through in the second half. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the plan.
But also, you know that you've got plenty of time as well, don't you? You could be you could decide, actually, I'm just going to walk for the next 20 minutes, just
Yeah,
catch a breath because I've got a
sure.
long day ahead of me and I don't need to try and cross the line. But I assume there's no cut off for the 50 part, is there?
For the 50 miles.
Yeah, is it still, it can't be 13 hours,
Oh,
surely.
hang on. I've got, look at this. I didn't plan this, by the way. I've got the instructions here. Let me just have a quick breeze through. I haven't actually read too much into it, but I'm sure there must be cut-offs.
Hmm.
Here we go. Cut-off. Here we go. Yes. Look, so I've got it here. So for halfway, well, I don't know what that is. 21 hours? Is that right? Oh no, that's the time. Sorry. So
9 o'clock at night,
9:40 is the cutoff.
9:40, and you can start at
9:40.
7 a.m. 9:40.
Uh, yes, and
So
it's
like,
yeah.
so
So
still 13 hours then.
yeah, basically yeah.
Oh, okay,
Well, it's nearly,
right.
yeah, well, nearly 50. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is. 9:40 is the cutoff
Okay,
for not cold.
okay. So you can't be too slow.
Yep.
Can't be too relaxed. And then what's the cutoff for the
For the
100?
finish is 1 o'clock
The following afternoon.
the following afternoon. Correct. So yeah,
Okay.
that's quite impressive there.
Yeah.
And then the cut off. Did you want to know the cut off for the first aid station?
Well, that's funny, isn't it? I always look to see if anyone doesn't make it. I think it
Five
happened
past
last year.
nine.
9:05. So you got what,
Yeah,
2 hours?
for 6.8 miles.
So take your time there and then blitz it to the
Yeah,
end.
that's it.
So yeah, in terms of, there's a question from Mark here, doing differently.
Hmm.
We spoke about pace there, but I did have a question about this part here, because you've trained, and actually, this was the
Yeah,
thing I was going to say. One thing you did in training, which I think probably benefited you on the day, you might not have thought about it, although we did talk about it, is the fact you actually end up running quite a lot by yourself.
yeah, okay.
And in your training, these long runs you do primarily by yourself as well. So
Yeah.
you're kind of used to that being in your own head. Because I
Hmm.
thought when I did North Downs Way as well that I would be, even at kind of my pace I was doing, around other people. And
Yeah,
actually, you don't seem to be. They pass you, they're not with you for a bit, and then they're gone. And I
yeah,
didn't ever really feel like I was running with a pack.
yeah.
It was really got really spread out. I think you said this, really spread out really
It,
quite quickly.
yeah. It surprised me. Yeah, I honestly thought I would be with like a group of people right the way through to sort of, I don't know, say Newlands Corner or something.
Mm.
But literally, I think in the first, I don't know, 5, 6K, I think everyone just seemed to disappear. I don't know. I don't know how.
Everyone
I
just spaced out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just sort of like an odd sort of a weird pace where I'm not fast enough to keep up with the front guys, but I'm sort of
Mm.
like front to mid pack.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was bizarre.
That's definitely something for people listening to this. It's important to train. I know when I was training for it, we did some runs together, but I also did some by myself, because you are by yourself on the day. And if you're feeling a bit down or feeling like it's going a bit wrong,
Yeah,
you've got to understand that you probably won't have anyone around you to moan to.
yeah, and you have to rely on Rick Astley to pull you out of those dark
Yeah,
moments.
I know. Never got a copyright strike for my singing for that, but he will be returning
I wonder why not.
early autumn. So your hydration, nutrition, what was
Yeah.
that? What were you
Um,
doing?
well, so I'm a big fan of Active Root
Mm.
for the old hydration, and Tailwind does serve a purpose. However, I didn't actually use a lot of Tailwind this time round, which I was quite
Okay.
surprised about. I had 2 sachets on me, and I don't think I actually used one, because I just found that water just was more appealing at the time.
Mm.
So yeah, I didn't really need it, and the smorgasbord at the aid stations was just perfect. Like I don't think I needed the additional calories or carbs that Tailwind supplied, I didn't think I needed it because I was literally eating solid stuff. Like my stomach was perfect.
Yeah.
So I think just the combination of the active root and the ginger there keeping my stomach settled, and then the water was working well, and yeah, so I think that's what I'll do. It's just a case of me using what I feel like I need at the time. For London to Brighton, I did use half a stick of Tailwind, about sort of, I don't know, halfway, whatever that was, 55k.
Mm.
I put but it was so diluted, it didn't really take any effect. It was just sort of like a flavored water. So I don't think I was getting any benefits of the carbs or anything because it was such a
Okay.
little amount in the bottle. But yeah, everything seems to be working. So I think I'll just keep to that
Yeah, it's
routine for
lucky.
next time round. The only thing is, obviously, August, the last 2 years, it's been mega hot, hasn't it? So I
Yeah, it
don't
can
know.
be
I
very
don't know.
challenging.
Yeah, I think also the sweet taste sometimes of tailwinds it can be quite overpowering if you get too concentrated, and I think that
Yeah,
ended up turning my stomach sometimes. So yeah, we'll see. It's nice to have that option of tailwind, but I think maybe not not 500 ml of it every sort of 10k is probably too much.
I think I definitely moved away from any of the flavors. I just go with the unflavored one now, even though it's got a bit of flavor to it, because I think I overdid it. Especially the cola one. That was
Oh yeah, oh, you can have a lot of that because you're
yeah,
back
it's
to
a
back.
treat on a 10k, but I'd rather just have a Calippo or something.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe like build up to the race, just like have a a bottle, a solid bottle on the way, and just sit that.
there was not a podcast recently. Somebody somebody said they just ran with maybe it was the early ultra runners they were talking about. Would just run with a litre bottle of Coke. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that would have been quite awkward, I guess, but something like that back in the day. And then in terms of your kit, so you actually ran with the 100 kit on
Mhm.
you,
Yep.
and you are wearing the t-shirt now. So Ultra Direction, you've got a few different vests. Why did you choose the vest you chose out
I
of all the ones
chose what
you've?
I chose.
Yeah.
So the one I use at the moment is the one I've probably run the most miles in. So it's working like a dream.
Mm.
That said, it is starting to fray a little bit around the pockets and this, that, and the other. So I probably put in maybe 3,500 kilometers into that vest, I reckon, in running
Wow.
since I've had it. It's got to
Mm.
be. So it's since sort of last summer, the mid to end of last summer, I've had it, and I've run it into the ground. It just works perfectly. I don't know, it just fits my body shape nicely.
Yep.
It has all the pockets you need on it. It's great. It really is.
That's good. That is,
Yeah,
it's good to find something that works.
yeah, and I hope they don't ruin it for the next one. So if you're listening, Ultimate Directions, don't change too much. Yeah, just tweak it a little bit. Don't
They will be
ruin it.
tagged. I'll take a screenshot here
Thank you.
with you wearing it, so I
Mm,
can tag them on Instagram
please, thank you.
and Bebo. So we'll quickly speak about why you made this stupid decision to do this 1 week after. I say it was stupid. It was an experience for you and a
Oh, certainly
mighty
was.
long run. But yeah, as you mentioned, we didn't realise necessarily, mostly on the pavement, and
No,
a beast of a run that was,
yeah,
yeah, not the
it was
most
a great
pleasant.
great day. No, it was definitely a tough shift, but I did enjoy it, and the
Yeah,
learning and the experience I got from it, like, just can't replicate any other way, really.
no,
Um, so yeah, a little backstory behind it. So obviously, I ran with Danielle on the day, and she was initially going to run with another one of her friends, and it was going to be his first like ultra. So they've been training throughout the winter for that, and unfortunately, he got plantar fasciitis like literally a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So he couldn't really walk, let alone run. So 100k might have been a bit
yeah,
of a stretch for him. So he made the decision to like just can it and say, look, no, I'm not. And he also has got other things going on as well that needed attending to. So um, they just said, oh well, okay, if you don't want to do it, shall we offer the place to someone else? So they did.
yeah,
Danielle obviously contacted me. Initially, I said, look, I don't think I should run it, really. Obviously, North Downs Way being one of the factors, but the other thing being, family time.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a big commitment to be, I'm going to go out for, I don't know, 12 to 15 hours off on the trails next weekend after I've just spent the best part of 9 hours the weekend before doing the same thing. So initially I said no, but later on in the day I floated the idea to Katie as a joke, just like a whimsical passing comment, and she just turned around and went, "You can do it if you want." And I was a bit like taken aback, like, "Are you sure? Really? You do realise it's longer than the one we've just done, right?" She's like, "Yeah, it's fine. If you want to do it, you can do it." I was like, "Are you sure? What do you want?" kind of thing. But she's very supportive, and she just said, "Go and do it." So yeah, I said, "Okay, I'll give it a go." So that's the backstory of how it all came about, really.
Like an amazing training run. It's just a shame there wasn't maybe a gap of 2 weeks
Oh yeah,
in between both,
yeah,
because like you say, to
ideally,
replicate that, you're not likely to head out on a 60+ mile run without a reason.
yeah,
And so that was just a great opportunity for you. And you threw it, and you mentioned earlier a little bit of knee trouble,
yeah.
but overuse probably rather than anything else, because it's improved, hasn't it? It has improved.
Yeah, it has recovered pretty quickly. Like I think I've mentioned it in the video actually. Like I do suffer from it from time to time anyway. Even towards the last sort of 10k of the North Downs Way, I could feel it creeping
Mm,
in. Like, and sometimes it comes on pretty quick. Sometimes it doesn't come on at all. It's usually like in past times, I would say I can always around the 50k mark, I could always start feeling it creeping in.
yeah,
Sometimes it gets really bad, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a bit hit and miss. But I think the concrete of the London to Brighton really didn't help at all. That was the main sticking point for the
yeah,
knee.
yeah. That seems to be something that would definitely go against you when you could have really done with some more trails, a little bit of a softer terrain, just to give you a bit of respite from it, because it's quite a relentless day, and it was a hot day as well. And you
Mhm.
mentioned briefly to me anyway that the aid stations and all that faffing about in between wasn't ideal for keeping
Yeah,
moving. Probably once you get a little bit sort of so you slow yourself down, you get a little bit stiff in the knees. You don't really want to be
yeah,
stopping too often.
yeah. They didn't really lend themselves too well for being efficient moving through because a lot of it was sort of in, and then everything sort of spread out in a big field. It's quite a large area because I'm guessing they're sort of set up to accommodate big groups of walkers coming in at once, so they need
Mm,
to have enough seating and spread everyone out. So you'd go in and say in one corner of the field would be the food, and then that corner over there would be the water. It wasn't really ever all together. I think there was one aid station. The Ardingly College one was probably the best one where you could go in. It just had one tent. You'd go through like a funnel of the tent,
mm.
food, water, out and off. And ideally, that's how it would all be. But everything else seemed to be sort of spread out a lot. So yeah,
But yeah, an experience and something different to what you'd done at Centurion the week before. So it's quite nice to know
mm,
how the two companies, and they're set up very differently. Obviously, Centurion is
yeah,
very much focused on ultra
run and pace.
runners
Yeah,
achieving a goal, and the ultra challenge. That's what they're called, aren't
yeah, that's right.
they?
Yeah, yeah,
Theirs is slightly different. In fact, the ultra challenge, that was going to be my first ultra before they pulled. Do you remember that? I was going
yeah.
to do North Downs Way,
The North Downs Challenge. Yeah.
North Downs Challenge, yeah, and they
I think
pulled
they're
it,
doing
and
that again now. I
oh,
think
they're
they put
doing
it
it
back on.
again.
Yeah,
That
that could be you
yeah,
next year, mate.
it could be me. Yeah, I could might be able to win it. And did the Fox Ultra instead, but that is another story. Um, yeah, a long story. John, thank you so much for your super sticker there. You're a superhuman.
What a hero.
If you have any questions, if you'd like a signed picture, obviously happy to oblige. I'll get Ben to send you a DM later. So
Get some fresh shots knocked up.
indeed. So really, I guess they're the main things to chat about. And then coming up for the summer, we've got. Well, I was going to talk to you about that. We could talk about it offline or online. We might as well talk about it now, though. The Sheer 42
Yep.
might be quite a good time to mention it, because I think there's a few people that would watch this video back who are in the south who should come along
Yeah.
to that, because it's a really good. I've not done it because normally it
Oh,
falls at a time when I've just not been in the right place to do it. But looking at this year, I think it's 2 weeks though before my ultra. That's all I would say on the matter there. So don't know if
Yeah.
I'll do the 42, but I think it's a
Yeah.
great training route, and I would probably do the 42 as a training run before that, and maybe the half on the day.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I
But
think it'd be
how would
perfect,
you
mate. It's a
describe
great
it?
race.
How would you
So good.
describe sheer?
So good. Like if you, it's just got it's a real challenging course,
Mm.
but it's just got a bit of everything of the Surrey Hills, isn't it? Really, it just takes in most of the main peaks. Like the only things you're missing really is sort of like Box Hill and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lovely route. That's probably the complete opposite of London to Brighton, whereas that's
Mm.
probably 90% trail. Really challenging start. Straight off the start and straight uphill. But yeah, it's great local vibe. So many lovely runners down there. If you're looking to like build some relationships with local runners and
Yeah.
get involved in the community, it's the best way to go. It really is really good.
Yeah, I thought I'd just give it a little bit of airtime because I know you did a video last year. It's competitive if you want to do that, if you want to try and break some
Yeah,
records, if you want to try and go up against some really good local runners and runners from further afield, it's a great race for that. And if you want to just enjoy the Surrey Hills
yeah.
in a
If you're
relaxed
looking for
environment, it's just great, isn't it?
your first trail marathon, it'd be perfect. Like it's challenging enough, but it's not to the point where you're going to be sort of dead. I would liken it to say like Beachy Head. Everyone knows that's a tough trail
Yeah.
marathon, right? I would say it's like that, but obviously not on the coast. Or
Mm.
so if you want a bit of a challenge, then yeah, it's the way to go.
And
It
it's in
really
the
is.
summer. Go
Yeah.
shirtless, get a tan, have a
Oh yeah,
laugh with your
that's it.
buddies.
Why not? That's it. Yeah.
Just got a message here from John. So he's training 40 miles for his 40th birthday, although he doesn't look a day
Hero.
older than like 24.
I don't think he's
Um,
40. I think that's a lie.
yeah, that's mad, isn't it? How bad's that? He's a good looking guy for 40 or close
That
to
makes me
40 anyway.
feel bad. I look terrible compared to him.
Yeah, so I'm thinking as well. I need to change some things up. But it says here it's 100% ban on entering the woods, including trails. It continues. Severe forest fires all over the province. I think,
Oh
I
dear.
think with this weather that people are experiencing around the world, we're going to end up with more situations like this where
Mm.
you might end up being, it might end up seeing your favourite trails disappearing or changing depending on how things go. Because it's definitely, was it last summer? It got quite hot and dry, didn't it, for quite
Well,
a few
yeah.
weeks.
Even up at St Martha's was on fire, wasn't it? Remember?
Mm,
The
yeah.
fields below it there.
Oh, you did
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
what was it?
Reporting live, GTR
Reporting
News.
live. There you go, reporting live. Here we go. Here you go, Ben. Signed
Yes,
up for
hi,
Sheer 42 today. Again, great course,
hero.
great atmosphere. Yeah, it'd be really, really cool to get some people down there and even do like a bit of a not like a meetup, but it's quite a nice place to do it. It's in the summer. Most people are off or thinking about getting some time off. Obviously, it's a
Yeah.
weekend, but if people travelling down, I think it's a nice place as well locally to stay.
Mhm.
So this is in Surrey, in England, southeast of England, where we train on a Tuesday night. Guildford Trail Runners. That's a few miles from that location. But it's worth exploring. Have a look at Sheer 42. Just type it into Google and you'll find it. Or Ben's got a video on his channel, so go on his channel and just scroll
Yeah.
back a few months, well, nearly a year, I suppose, at this point, and
Nearly, yeah.
check it out. But you should people, if you're listening to this now or watching it, definitely consider coming along. And you don't
Yeah.
have to do 42 if you don't fill up for that. There's a
10K,
half
half.
or a 10. And
Mhm.
actually, last year because it was so hot, they cancelled the marathon, and they just
Yeah,
pushed everyone to the
they
half.
split it all up. Yeah, they split it all up. So they did that 10.5 in August when it was initially
Mm,
planned for, and then they did the full marathon later
yeah,
on in September. But I think this year
because
they're
it got
doing it
hot.
all. They're all combining it together again this year.
Yeah.
So
Does
yeah,
everyone run at the same time? Everyone set off at the same time?
it's staggered. So half an hour. So the marathon runners go out half an hour later, then the
Cool.
half, and then yeah. But a lot of the first sort of 5K is all on the same route. So everyone
Mm.
runs all up the hill, up onto the North Downs Way, along towards Dorking, and then everyone sort of splits off from there and goes their own way.
Yeah, I definitely say if you fancy a little trip with the family, or want to come over this way for a few days, it's really nice. It's such a nice location around there. And you definitely get the most out of it. And there's obviously towns local to that. But if you want views, if you want trails, I'd say probably it's one of the best options you've got this summer.
Yeah, for sure. And you get to meet Dan. So
You do get to
you
meet
can't. You're not
me.
going to get that anywhere else, are you?
No, you get to meet me. You get to meet Ben. I'm trying
Not
to
so
think.
good, but
You
still.
get to meet Adam, another YouTuber.
Yeah.
And you get to meet most of the Guildford Trail runners, I would imagine. We'll
No
probably
doubt we'll
all
all
be
be there
there.
in force. Yeah.
And if you stay a few days, you can come out on Tuesday night with us.
Yeah.
It might be a quiet one the
Make
week
a week
after.
of it.
Yeah, but it's just us sort of sharing knowledge about local races because I don't know of too many others over the summer that I would recommend. And I want to have a go this year at doing it. So I'll definitely do the route and training for my ultra, and probably because it's only 2 weeks out, probably the half on the day
Don't worry
before.
about it, mate. Just think about what I did. You could do it. Marathon, then 40
I
miles.
know.
A couple of weeks later, it'd be fine.
I'd have an excuse. No.
I'll drag you around. It's fine.
That's it. You think, right, commit to the marathon, and then I've got a little back of my mind. Hi guys, today's the ultra. Now, unfortunately,
Yeah.
I came 152nd in the marathon 2 weeks ago. I gave it my all, and now I'm broken. Is there a 5? There's not a 5, Craig. But if you want to run a 5, you could do it twice.
You could enter the 10, run half of that, and then walk the rest.
And or just DNF at 5.
Yeah.
And we'd have to walk back, so you'd be doing 10 anyway, because
Yeah.
it's unlikely anyone will be out there at the 5 point. This question, did we speak about this before? Some events that aren't. I'd love to do some events abroad. The one marathon
Yeah.
before I started running, I always wanted to do the Parma marathon because I love Parma, and it's 2 hours on the plane. But the time of year it is, I could only get away. I wouldn't be able to get time off work, so I'd have to fly out there, do the race, and fly back, and it's just not going to work. I think it's on a Sunday. So I looked at that. That was before I really started running. So for me, I'd rather do all sorts of things that have got a nice view. And you were supposed to do the
Highland Fling at the
Highland
beginning of the year.
Fling.
That was going to be instead of the North Downs Way 50. So, I mean, that would have been in April, I think, the 22nd of something of April. So, ideally, that would have been my 50 miler. My
Yeah, I
training.
forgot about that. I didn't share that part of the story. That the fact you're doing North Downs Way 50 was to get in to do the 50 for the 100, but actually that wasn't supposed to be the 50 you were doing.
No, so really, I've overdone. Well overstayed my welcome on the North Downs Way. So yeah, there's that, and then I've got the Beacons Marathon in November as well. So yeah, I'll be up in the Brecon Beacons for that. I always found I'd love to do some like mountain stuff, like Lakeland and things like that. But it's just at the moment it's not too convenient with the little ones. You know what I mean?
I know.
I can't be traipsing off here, there, and everywhere and leaving them. The North Downs Way works perfect because it's so local. So
Yeah,
for the next sort of like 2-3 years, I've got to maximise the stuff down here in the south, and then I can start moving further afield when I can take them with me camping, stick them in a field all weekend, and I just go off running.
Yeah, you have to get the family on side unless you're planning to dump them somewhere else here.
And Wendover as well.
Wendover,
in
yes.
June, July, whenever that is. So we're going to that weekender. So that'll be interesting to see what that's all about. I'm not running it myself. Zachary's running the kids race, but at least I can get to experience like what the whole vibe's about, and maybe that'll be something for next year as well.
Definitely like to do something where you go on holiday with the family for a little break. You get a run in, but you've got time either side of it. The trouble is, I wouldn't want to be absolutely smashed on the first day, spend the rest of the holiday being useless and say, sorry,
limping around everywhere.
We can't
crying.
do anything. But like even the ultra I'm doing, it's Shoreham basically running home. So the idea behind that is that we'd spend a bit of time in Shoreham. That works out quite well. It's quite a nice thing to do. Then they drive back by themselves. I run back. That's quite a nice thing. But the other way around was actually the intended plan when I first booked it. Start here. They drop me off. They wave me off. They head down to the beach, have some time down there. Meet them there, stay overnight, that kind of stuff. That was the vibe I was going for. But didn't read the small print until it was too late. and realised I
Sure,
would
it'd
be
still be
running.
lovely, mate. It'd be
That'll
great.
be lovely. Mike is inviting you to do the Arc with
Thanks,
him.
Mike.
He's put sunglasses there. I don't think it's ever sunny, is it, for the Arc?
Yeah, not at that time of year on that coast path. Definitely not.
The Dark 100. I don't think it is the Arc.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about that, by the way, so the 100 Northwest Way 100, you're likely to be running in the darkness at some point.
For sure.
You must be.
Definitely.
I think we spoke about this a long time ago. Why are you going to do any training at night? But then actually, the fact you train through the winter, you're comfortable with head torch. There's
Yeah.
literally no point, is there?
No, I don't think I need to do any sort of night runs between now and then. I think I've done 7 months of it or whatever it was, whatever however long it seemed to go on forever, like I said earlier. So yeah, I don't think I'll get any benefit from it anyway.
No. But it
Second nature.
would be a factor, wouldn't it, if you weren't used to that, or you're a bit of a fair weather runner who never went out at night? Because
Yeah.
at what would you be at 60, 70 miles when it started to get really dark? You need to have your wits about you,
Yeah.
and you definitely have to be comfortable with a head torch, don't you?
For sure.
It's a bit different to just chucking a head torch on and then give it a go.
Yeah,
because you're going to be.
I'm only going to have it on for 10 minutes, so it's going to be several hours.
Yeah. But at least this time of year, it's going to be lighter sooner. And hopefully it won't get too dark.
Want to know what kind of head torch I'll be using? It will be the Moonlight.
You haven't always used it, have you? You have used Petzl before,
this
but
one.
that head torch there though, is that your backup one, the Petzl one?
This is my spare now.
The Moonlight one's incredible, isn't it? It's
actually saying that, I left that with Danielle, so there's nothing in this box, but that's what I'm using.
It is I've witnessed it. It is a really good head torch for a brand that are they that well known?
Look, it came out of nowhere, didn't it? So they're from Denmark, if I'm correct in saying that. Norway. Yeah, so Killian, I think, is one of their athletes, but they mainly make like skis, stuff sort of like using out in those kind of conditions. And the head torches is an extra thing that they've moved into. So they started with skis, and then they did head torches for people that were skiing. So they were like big things that would clamp onto a helmet and be like ridiculously bright, so you can move at speed. And now they've condensed it down a bit to make it.
They're really good head torches
for running. So
they're not that heavy, are they?
No, I think the heaviest thing about them is, well, it's the same as with all these kind of things, really, is the battery. Like the actual light itself is really light, but it's all made of like nice aluminium, and it's good
aluminum
bit of kit. Yep, aluminum.
Those people out in the US of A. Cool. Well, that was mainly what I want to talk to you about, really, just having a sort of catch up. And it's nice to see some people, familiar faces in the chat. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you coming along.
But really, for me, it was just to sort of talk about the training and what that has meant you've been able to do. Because I feel like all of that hard work you put in when people were wrapped up in bed and we were turning on our Strava at 7 a.m, you've been out and back at 3:30. Be like 3:30, but if you've got a family, if you work, you've got to do it that way. Otherwise, it's not going to get done, is it?
Yeah, it's now or never. Really is.
Cool. Well, I'll probably be speaking to you in the next 10 minutes anyway. But
no doubt.
Let's end it how we normally. Wish you all the best for your upcoming races. And if you're not already subscribed to Ben, what are you pointing to?
Mike's just asked something really good. I wish.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Yes. Do you want to briefly tell the story of your pre-race nutrition? Most people are expecting to hear pasta, but it's not what you're going to hear.
Yeah. So I don't know if Mike's aware, actually. This should just be a good off-the-cuff question. But I swear by pre-race, right, night before, not too late in the night, obviously. You need to have a sensible time to digest. But plant-based Whopper, right, large meal. Stop laughing, Dan. Plant-based Whopper, large meal. Then on the side, if you're feeling, a little bit fruity, 9 chili cheese bites on top. Now, I'm telling you, it goes down, stays down, and you'll be running faster than you've ever run before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I only endorse it from the point of view that it really does work for you. It really does work for you.
Every race, I'll swear by it.
I had one yesterday, and it's only fueled me for the run in the evening. I hadn't eaten since like midday. I had it, did my run and didn't come back till 9 o'clock at night. It was all right. It was pretty good. Pretty good,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So perhaps you might do. And would you also encourage people to get the Burger King app, where you can get all sorts of rewards and offers?
Yeah, that's it. Get the Burger King app. Make sure you do what I do and use it like a complete idiot and rack up loads of points and then never use them.
So you continue to pay when you could be getting
Full price.
them for free.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
But
yesterday I
hopefully,
got
like Mike says, hopefully they'll be sponsoring me soon, so I won't
well,
need to
yeah,
pay
they'll
for
look at your points and they'll say this guy's spending quite a bit of cash with us. Yeah, I got 2 plant-based Whopper meals yesterday for £9.99, which was good, and I
That's a good
got
offer.
the kids vegan nugget meal for £1.49, I think it was.
Lovely.
So
That's really good, isn't it?
you know, I haven't had Burger King for so long, but
It's a
using
good
the app
treat.
is the way forward. You can rack up some points and then never use them, as
Yeah.
Ben said.
And
So
like, if you're on the trail and you spot a Burger King and you're feeling like, oh, could do with something, get yourself a plant-based Whopper.
so if you see Ben during the 100, please consider
Big
taking
burger in
a
hand.
Burger King to Knockholt for the 50, or if you see him somewhere along Bluebell Hill or wherever there's
Yeah.
I don't know, some sort of
No,
service
because
station.
you're not allowed. You're not allowed at the aid stations. So
Of course,
you'll just have to be somewhere out on the trail, in the middle of the woods, in the
yeah.
dark, with a brown Burger King bag full of Whoppers.
Public service announcement: please do not stand at the Centurion aid stations, and also do not stand 1 metre away and ask to move further away, or indeed 2 metres away.
Yeah.
You are not
When they tell
welcome
you to
to
go,
stand there.
go.
Yes, please be respectful and don't essentially give your runner a time penalty. Although
Yeah.
would be
Or a DQ.
quite a shrewd move, wouldn't it, if you just went and hung out with a guy who was first, if you knew that your family member was running in second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
And
keep
just
bothering them.
claim that you knew them. I'm for that guy.
Keep handing them bars, just
Yeah.
popping them in their vest
Or
as they run
Whoppers.
past. Yeah, Whoppers. Well, everybody, it's been lovely
Brilliant.
to see. We've done a nice, almost a clean hour, which is exactly what we want. But if you, well, it's actually irrelevant saying this bit now, but it will be on audio. So if you happen to have left halfway through, you can still listen back. But you won't be hearing this part, so you won't know to listen back. But it will be on our social media accounts in the next few days, a little link if you want to give it a listen on your run or walk or hike. Well,
bye then.
Bye.
I'm going to get a Whopper. See you later.
Thanks, Ben. See you later.
You're welcome. See you
Thanks
later,
everyone
mate.
for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you all. Bye.